Hello and welcome to day 101 of our chronological Bible in a year reading. Today we have 1 Samuel 13 and 14.
I know they're going to be long chapters.
Only 2 chapters today. 1 Samuel 13. Shaul was ... years old when he began to reign. What does yours say?
Mine said Saul reigned 1 year, and when he had reigned 2 years over Israel.
No, yeah. Mine says Shaul was ... years old when he began to reign, and when he had reigned 2 years over Yisrael, Shaul chose for himself 3,000 men of Yisrael. And 2,000 were with Shaul in Michmash and in the mountains of Beth El, and 1,000 were in Jonathan of Gibeah of Benjamin, or were with Jonathan in Gibeah of Benjamin. And the rest of the people he sent away each to his tent. And Jonathan smote the watchpost of the Pelethites that was in Gibeah, and the Pelethites heard of it. And Shaul blew the ram's horn throughout all the land, saying, Let the Ebrim, which are the Hebrews, let the Ebrim hear. And all Yisrael heard the news that Shaul had smitten a watchpost of the Pelethites, and also that Yisrael had become a stench to the Pelethites. And the people were summoned to Shaul at Gilgal. And the Pelethites gathered to fight Yisrael 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and people as numerous as the sand on the seashore. And they came up and camped in Michmash, east of Beth Awen. And the men of Yisrael saw that they were in trouble, for the people were distressed. And the people hid in caves, and in thorny bushes, and in rocks, and in holes, and in pits. And Ebrim, again, which is Hebrews, passed over the Yarden, which is the Jordan River, to the land of Gad and Gilad.
No, drink.
Yeah, would you mind, please? Thanks. Thanks. And Ebrim passed over the Yarden to the land of Gad and Gilad, but Shaul was still in Gilgal, and all the people followed him trembling. And he waited for 7 days according to the appointment with Shemuel. But Shemuel did not come to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him. And Shaul said, Bring a burnt offering and peace offerings here to me, and he offered the burnt offering. And it came to be, as he had finished cooking the burnt offering, look, Shemuel came. And Shaul went out to meet him, to barak him, which means to bless him. Then Shemuel said, What have you done? And Shaul said, Because I saw that the people were scattered from me, that you did not come within the days appointed, and that the Pelethites gathered at Michmash. So I said, The Pelethites are going to come down on me at Gilgal, and I have not appeased the face of Yahuwah. So I felt compelled and offered a burnt offering. And Shemuel said to Shaul, You have been foolish. You have not guarded the command of Yahuwah your Elohim, which he commanded you. For now Yahuwah would have established your reign over Yisrael forever. But now your reign is not going to stand. Yahuwah shall seek for himself a man after his own heart, and Yahuwah shall command him to be leader over his people, because you have not guarded what Yahuwah commanded you. And Shemuel arose and went up from Gilgal to Gibeah of Benjamin. And Shaul mustered the people who were present with him, about 600 men. And Shaul and Jonathan his son, and the people who were present with them, remained in Gibeah of Benjamin, while the Pelethites camped at Michmash. And from the camp of the Pelethites raiders went out in 3 companies. The one company turned to the way that leads to Ophrah, to the land of Shual, and another company turned toward the way of Beth Horon, and another company turned toward the way of the border that overlooks the valley of Zeboim toward the wilderness. Now no blacksmith could be found in all the land of Yisrael, for the Pelethites said, Lest the Ebrim make swords or spears. And all Yisrael went down to the Pelethites, each one to sharpen his plowshare, and his mattock, and his axe, and his sickle. And the charge was a pim for the plowshares, and the mattocks, and the forks, and the axes, and to appoint the goads. And it came to be on the day of battle that there was neither sword nor spear found in the hand of any of the people who were with Shaul and Jonathan, but they were found with Shaul and Jonathan his son. And the outposts of the Pelethites went out to the pass of Michmash. In chapter 14, it came to be one day that Jonathan son of Shaul said to the young men who bore his armor, Come and let us go over to the outpost of the Pelethites, which is on the other side. But he did not inform his father. And Shaul remained at the outskirts of Gibeah under a pomegranate tree at Migron, and the people who were with him were about 600 men. And Ahiah, son of Ahitub, Ichabod's brother, son of Phinehas, son of Eli, the Kohen, which is the priest, of Yahuwah in Shiloh, was wearing a shoulder garment. And the people did not know that Jonathan had gone. And between the passes by which Jonathan sought to go over to the outposts of the Pelishtites, there was an edge of a rock on the other side. And the name of one was Botsets, and the name of the other Seneh. And the one edge was on the north opposite Michmash, and the other on the south opposite Gibeah. And Jonathan said to the young man who bore his armor, "Come and let us go over to the outpost of these uncircumcised. If so be Yahuwah works for us, for there is no hindrance for Yahuwah to save by many or by few." And his armor-bearer said to him, "Do all that is in your heart, incline yourself. See, I am with you according to your heart." And Jehonathan said, "See, we are passing over to the men and show ourselves to them. If they say this to us, 'Wait until we come to you,' then we shall stand still in our place and not go up to them. But if they say this, 'Come up to us,' then we shall go up. For Yahuwah has given them into our hand, and this is the sign to us." And both of them disclosed themselves to the outposts of the Pelishtites, and the Pelishtites said, "See, the Ebrim are coming out of the holes where they have hidden." And the men of the outpost called to Jonathan and his armor-bearer and said, "Come up to us, and let us teach you a lesson." Then Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, "Come up after me, for Yahuwah has given them into the hand of Yisrael." And Jonathan climbed up on his hands and knees with his armor-bearer after him. And they fell before Jonathan, and his armor-bearer was putting them to death behind him. And that first slaughter which Jonathan and his armor-bearer made was about 20 men in about half a yoke-furrowed field. And there was trembling in the camp, in the field, and among all the people. The outposts and the raiders also trembled, and the ground shook. And it became a trembling of Elohim. And the watchmen of Shaul and Gibeah of Benjamin looked and saw the crowd melting away, and they went here and there. And Shaul said to the people who were with him, "Please inspect and see who has gone from us." So they inspected and saw that Jonathan and his armor-bearer were missing. And Shaul said to Ahiah, "Bring the ark of Elohim here." For the ark of Elohim was with the children of Israel on that day. And it came to be, while Shaul talked to the Kohen, that the noise which was in the camp of the Pelishtites went on and became great. So Shaul said to the Kohen, "Withdraw your hand." And Shaul was called, and all the people who were with him, and they went to the battle. And see, every man's sword was against his neighbor, a very great confusion. And the Ebrim who were with the Pelishtites before that time, who went up with them into the camp, turned round, they too, to be with Yisrael, and who were with Shaul and Jonathan. And all the men of Israel who had hidden in the mountains of Ephraim heard that the Pelishtites fled, and they also pursued them in the battle. Thus Yahuwah saved Yisrael that day, and the battle passed over to Beth Awen. And the men of Yisrael were distressed that day, for Shaul had placed the people under oath, saying, "Cursed be the man who eats food until evening, and I have taken revenge on my enemies." Therefore none of the people tasted food. And all the land came into the woods, and there was honey on the ground. And the people came into the woods and saw the honey dripping. But no one put his hand to his mouth, for the people revered the oath. But Jonathan had not heard that his father had taken an oath of the people, and he stretched out the end of the rod that was in his hand, and dipped it in a honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes lit up. Then one of the people said, "Your father strictly took an oath of the people, saying, 'Cursed be the man who eats food today.'" And the people were weary. And Jonathan said, "My father has troubled the land. Now see how my eyes lit up when I tasted a little of this honey. How much better if the people had well eaten today of the spoil of their enemies which they found. For then would not the smiting among the Pelishtites have been greater? And they smote the Pelishtites that day from Michmash to Aijalon. So the people were very weary. And the people pounced on the spoil, and took sheep and cattle and calves, and slaughtered them on the ground. And the people ate with the blood. And they told Shaul, saying, "Look, the people are sinning against Yahuwah by eating with the blood." And he said, "You have acted treacherously. Roll a large stone to me today." And Shaul said, "Disperse among the people, and say to them, each one bring his ox near to me, and each one his sheep, and you shall slaughter them here and eat, and do not sin against Yahuwah by eating with the blood. So every one of the people brought his ox with him that night and slaughtered it there. And Shaul built an altar to Yahuwah. It was the first altar he built to Yahuwah. And Shaul said, Let us go down after the Pelethites by night, and plunder them until the morning light, and not leave a man of them. And they said, Do whatever seems good to you. But the Kohen said, Let us draw near to Elohim here. And Shaul asked of Elohim, Should I go down after the Pelethites? Do you give them into the hand of Yisrael? But he did not answer him that day. And Shaul said, Come over here, all you chiefs of the people, and know and see what this sin was today. For as Yahuwah lives, who saves Yisrael, though it be in Jonathan my son, he shall certainly die. But not one among all the people answered him. And he said to all Yisrael, You be on one side, and my son Jonathan and I be on the other side. And the people said to Shaul, Do what seems good to you. And then Shaul said to Yahuwah Elohim of Yisrael, Give a perfect one. And Shaul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Shaul said, Cast between my son Jonathan and me, and Jonathan was taken. Shaul then said to Jonathan, Explain to me what you have done. And Jonathan explained to him, and said, I only tasted a little honey with the end of the rod that was in my hand. See, let me die. And Shaul answered, Elohim, do so, and more also, for you shall certainly die, Jonathan. But the people said to Shaul, Should Jonathan die, who has wrought this great deliverance in Yisrael? Far be it. As Yahuwah lives, let not one hair of his head fall to the ground, for he has wrought with Elohim this day. Thus the people rescued Jonathan, and he did not die. And Shaul returned from pursuing the Pelethites, and the Pelethites went to their own place. And Shaul took reign over Yisrael, and fought against all his enemies round about, against Moab, and against the children of Ammon, and against Edom, and against the sovereigns of Soba, and against the Pelethites. And wherever he turned, he caused trouble. And he gathered an army, and smote the Amalekites, and delivered Yisrael from the hands of those who plundered them. And the sons of Shaul were Jonathan, and Yishwi, and Malchishua. And the names of his two daughters were these: the name of the firstborn, Merab, and the name of the younger, Michal. And the name of Shaul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaaz. And the name of the commander of his army was Abner, son of Ner, uncle of Shaul. And Kish was the father of Shaul, and Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abiel. And there was fierce fighting against the Pelethites all the days of Shaul. And when Shaul saw any mighty man or any brave man, he took him for himself. And that concludes our reading for today. Thanks for joining. Hope you're reading along. And peace and blessings and love to you. See you in the next one.